much about it.
There is, I think it's biblical. There's a story of somebody who has all of their money. They have to escape a ship, and they've got gold strapped to their belt, and they jump off and they start to sink because of their wealth.
The gold, yeah.
But they won't.
They won't let go. Yeah.
Their belt, so they drown with.
They
their
drown
gold.
with the gold.
So
because they keep giving value
into objects. So the value within the Bible comes from the knowledge, not from the pages, not from it being revealed by God through men. It's not that. The value is the instruction. So the presence of the Holy Spirit, I'm not getting religious, enables you to live a different life. It's not an instruction manual. There's nothing that if we got rid of the Bible today, please God it never happens, we could reconstruct it anyway from the letters of the church fathers, from ancient manuscripts, from other things. So what, like if somebody threatened to come here and burn a pile of I don't know, Sun newspapers, it wouldn't have the same emotional response.
Well, definitely not. People don't see the sun as... hopefully they don't see the sun as, you know, the word of God.
But the fact is that encourages, and I'm not saying this about James, but if I now want to trigger somebody, I can now say, well, actually, I've got 10 of them at home, and how do you know that I'm not going to go home and X, Y, Z? Which I don't, because I've got smoke detectors, and what's the point? But the point is that it's only the emotional response. So bullies get a response by threatening. So anybody who threatens him, and he's made a threat against a book. So it's slightly different, but it's still... Why are we all standing talking about it? He's not here doing it. Hopefully, and not because of death threats, he won't do it anyway, because really the value in it is minimal. Like, just the threat has done enough to get people talking about it. So it's kind of highlighted the fact that there's an inequality in literature even.
Yeah, look, I understand your point of view, but,
do you think he
I don't think...
have even said it?
No, he can say it if he wants.
So where
it's not about words, it's about what if he actually did it.
But where do
I think that's the... Okay, where do we differ? I think the main point where we differ is that I don't think it's beneficial for his cause.
What is his cause?
His cause is to question religion, specifically Islam. He likes to question Islam. He likes to...
Isn't he?
Huh?
He's getting an answer. So hold on, so it's furthering his cause. He wants to know what happens if I say this, and now he probably knows without even doing anything. So
yeah, but look, the problem with that is he's questioning Islam for people who already aren't following Islam. So
why?
it's basically...
According to this gentleman, there's
no, look. That's wait. Let me finish. That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. He's questioning. He's saying if he burns the Quran, he'll be attacked. Blah blah blah. All that stuff.
For sure.
And it's true. Fair enough. It probably will happen. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I don't agree with it. It's pretty sad. But it doesn't. He's not debunking Islam for Muslims. He's debunking Islam for non-Muslims, and thus it doesn't have any intrinsic value.
He's debunking the emotional attachment to a set of people.
To non-Muslims, they already aren't following Islam, so it won't change anything.
I know of cases where there are Muslims who are quite horrified by the reaction of fellow adherents in different countries, where it's a more stricter version or a different version of Islam. So Sunnis quite happily condemn Shia violence.
And Shia condemns Sunni violence, yeah, we know about that.
There may be Muslims who are positively in James's worldview.
Well, of course, on the surface, everybody's going to condemn.
Because but on the surface, they may also they may see the condemnation of others as too violent. They may see that if James's prediction of violence came true, that's a sad indictment on their own cultural practices. Because I don't know that the Quran says, Ali might help me out. It doesn't say like attack anyone who threatens to do anything.
I don't know.
No, not threatens. I'm assuming that he actually did it.
The Quran, and we know that it's a miracle. The Quran says it's a miracle, like Allah says it's a miracle. But just threatening it's not like Sikhism where it's a guru and it's a book.
We're coming from the premise that he actually did it. That's the premise with which I'm starting.
Look, saying that the word is eternal, which is the same.
Yeah, but look, again, we're having something very similar to a religious debate. Religion is absolutely subjective to each person.
The book is important enough to be physically attacked over.
It's not for me, but for many people it is. It's,
And
you
those
might
people
say
have
it's
to
not
get
for you,
over
but
it.
many Christians
Those people
would
have
attack
choice.
other people for attacking their book.
I would suggest that potentially those people should go and find Muslims who are being persecuted rather than books that are being threatened, and help those people and have some righteous indignation for those atrocities.
Yeah, I don't agree on James being no. Look, I don't agree on James being threatened for threatening to rip up the Quran. I don't agree with that at all. Now, if he actually did it, then it would be another conversation. I would still be on James's side because I don't give any intrinsic value to the Quran, but I would understand the problem of the situation. It's that people don't think the same way. People are not the same.
That's fine, but when you live in a society that deems certain behaviours illegal, certain protected legally, so as we read out before, it's not prohibited to ridicule, insult, other people's religions, or to coercively argue with them to try to make them see your point of view. If his point of view and his ridicule or insulting of a certain religious text, if it goes into a physical act, it's still not illegal, but I would say it's ill-advised. But at the same time, he's definitely proving a point because he hasn't actually done anything. So his 2 sentences are causing this big hoo-ha, and the guy hasn't done anything. So he's proving that even irreligious people, non-religious people, Christians, anybody else is also interested in whether it happens because they need to pick a
let's
side.
approach this from a different perspective. I don't think I'm explaining myself well
I
enough.
hear what you're saying.
No, I'm trying to actually explain something different than this. If you make people doubt money, money loses all of its value.
Yep.
But if you burn a pile of money before its value is lost, you are seen in a very bad light. You know, you're seen as destruction of property or whatever, whatnot.
Banknotes in this country.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
I do.
If you debunk the Quran and make people stop seeing value in it, instead of actually destroying the book itself and making a martyr out of the object, it has a much bigger impact. It has a much bigger message.
I think having conversations are better than actual doing actions that could.
Do you believe that conversations are better than physical violence against people?
It depends the reason. I don't advocate
Because of religious
physical.
differences.
I don't advocate physical violence.
Right, the Quran
My opinion about burning the Quran. I've got to say one thing. There is something about, this is maybe a bit controversial, about doing violence against someone who rips the Quran or burns the Quran, because it's the fear of doing that act, being attacked stops that person from doing that action. Now, I think it's more easier for someone to rip up the Bible and not get harmed and
Because Christians are commanded to forgive.
Well, it's more than that. It's just that they won't get. There's no risk.
There's no.
I think there's some risk even ripping up the Bible, but I think there's less risk in ripping the Bible than ripping the Quran.
I think in some ways it validates the Quran more that there's a threat that other Muslims will harm you if you damage it, because they respect it. They see it as the word of God. No, I don't agree. I don't agree there should be violence, but I think there's something to that. No,
do you think Allah would condone violence against somebody?
I think there's something to that fear of violence, protecting the word of God, because you see the Quran as holy, and I think Christianity has lost that in some way. And Bob might agree with me about like, there's not so much respect for Christianity, there's not so much respect for the Bible.
The Bible is separate from Christianity.
I don't know, my knowledge of the Bible isn't.
So what I'm saying is it's not viewed in the same way.
Right.
It's not viewed as a miracle in and of itself.
Yeah.
It's because the Quran is revealed through one person only, whereas the Bible has more than 60 different authors.
Right.
There are also times when the state has sanctioned the removal of certain books from the Bible and the reinsertion of those same books again, depending on which kind of Christian you are. So tampering with, changing the Bible, like as in removing books, but it's all by the way. The fact is that I would like to know, do you believe as a Muslim that Allah would condone any violence against somebody who had intentionally damaged the Quran?
I don't know. I can't from what Allah would want to...
Of the character of his that is shown in the Quran that you know of, do you believe he would say, don't hurt that person, forgive them, or don't hurt that person because I'll deal with them on Judgment Day, or yep, go ahead and hurt them? Like, just a rough feeling.
I think the language of the Quran is a lot, there's a lot about you reap what you sow. It's quite different from the Bible.
But do you reap it from other sinners, or do you reap it from Allah?
I don't know. That.
This is definitely turning into a
let me go back to the point. Let me give an analogy, for example. You remember Muhammad Hijab?
There's no farmyard animals, are there?
No.
Muhammad Hijab,
yeah, Muhammad Hijab and Jedi, right?
Yeah.
And
Jedi, Muhammad Hijab inviting Jedi to an MMA fight.
Yeah, no. And there was Jedi defending himself against this Muslim guy who attacked him, right? And then he held him back or something. There was something that happened.
Oh, you mean Ahmed Ali?
Ahmed Ali, right?
Oh, I know what happened.
Yeah.
So basically, it was like this. Ahmed Ali punched Uncle Omar in the face because Uncle Omar said something about his mom.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, exactly the example that I was giving a while ago. You remember?
So mature.
I know. Well, Ahmed Ali, he has a few loose screws, honestly.
To insult people like this, just
Well,
insult them.
Okay, sure. He shouldn't have punched them still.
No, of course not. But I just
If somebody
for an
insults you,
elderly
insult them
gentleman,
better. That's
for
my
an
way of
older
seeing things.
person to start using mum cusses.
Yeah, that's Uncle Jihad for you. That's just how it is.
I know. Yeah, he likes.
It's just how it is. But anyway, what happened?
So Ahmed Ali, Jedi insulted Ahmed Ali's mother.
No, wait. It wasn't exactly like that. So Ahmed Ali punched Uncle Omar, right? Some time went by. Jedi came near Ahmed Ali, started virtue signaling to him. Oh, you punched an old Muslim brother. Oh, that's violence. Ahmed Ali started, getting really pissed off. It's on video, actually. You guys can watch it.
Yeah.
And he said, Jedi, oh, you stood there like a bitch. And everybody's like, oh, and Jedi like, oh, fuck, And then, Jedi turns to Ahmed Ali. Ahmed Ali Pisha. The only bitch is your mom.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to come here, people? Yeah. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun times here. MMA corner. But anyway. And then Ahmed Ali tried to punch Jedi. He missed. He punched another guy near Jedi. And then another guy started punching Ahmed Ali. Then it was a big fight.
Jedi held him in.
Yeah, Jedi held him and threw him at the floor eventually.
And then a teacher came along, and then dinner time was finished.
And then the week after, I think it was the week after, a bunch of Muslims came to the park.
Yeah, a big group.
Muhammad Taweed, Abdul Hakim, and some other
Taweed, he was
guys.
really unhinged on that day. He was like, Ahmed Ali Pishas, his mom is your mom.
He used Scooby-Doo's actual voice.
Oh God, it was pretty close to that actually. It sounded like Scooby-Doo. Sorry, okay, no more interruption. I'm not going to interrupt.
And Muhammad Hijab confronted Jedi and said, tried to challenge him. And because he saw it that as he was defending the Muslims in that sense from attack, and there was something to that because he was trying to intimidate, I don't know if he did or not, he tried to intimidate Jedi, and he was trying to show, look, if you try to play with the Muslims or try to attack the Muslims, this is what's going to happen. And this, I don't know if there was some success to that, but he was trying to send a message that if you harm Muslims, this is what will happen. And I'm trying to analyse that to what's happening with
God. So what's your idea of the situation? What do you think? Was what he did right, or what Muhammad Hijab did the right thing to do?
Are you saying the ends justified the means?
I think it's complicated. I think it may display to some Muslims, look here, you're defending the Ummah here, but to other people, like maybe non-Muslims, it may make it appear that Islam is violent, aggressive.
That Muhammad Hijab likes an MMA fight.
And
to invite people to an MMA fight, not necessarily likes an MMA fight.
No, but he challenged him. He was getting like this in his face.
Bro, okay, let me tell you something. If they wanted to fight, they would fight right then and there. They didn't want to fight, they wanted to play it for the camera.
It was all orchestrated because 7 hours, they all planned that. Those guys hadn't been in park for months, even for a year.
I know.
Hakim and Taweed.
Can I just say that you were saying that it could be supposed that people think, you'll see the ramifications of insulting a certain group of people, or maybe people will think to us. I personally, and I believe deep down you also you would rather live in a society where people were able to self-regulate. So whether they were able to, on the basis of the available information, make a decision as to whether I feel like insulting that person, and I can work through the potential consequences. Not that he's going to bring all his mates round, not that he's going to bring all of his religious adherents.
Were you there that day?
No, maybe not, I don't know.
I was.
But the fact is that
I know exactly what happened.
I'd rather live by laws and regulations that prohibit violence, no matter what.
Funny day.
Not because somebody's threatening me not to,
yeah,
but because the state says if I do, I can happily punch whoever I like in the face and take the consequences.
But listen to this. That Mohammed Hijab posted a video of those events, and that video got 880,000 views. 880,000
Well, of course,
views.
my most popular video is when I almost fight with Omar. People like to see that stuff.
But that sent a message. It sent a message.
For the thumbnail.
So
Pavlov hits a woman.
In some ways it worked, then, didn't it? Because it showed people that if you mess with Muslims, you may see it. There's different ways of looking at it. I'm not taking a side here. I'm not taking a side here. I think a lot of maybe irreligious people will say this confirms what they think about Islam. It's violent or aggressive.
If there are death threats against James based on words, I would say that sadly that would feed into a prejudice that sees a religion that advocates some form of violence to protect its image,
but
whereas
others will
the
see
state does quite a lot to promote the feeling that it's a religion of peace, and when its adherents are violent, that jars in your consciousness because you're thinking, hold on a minute, it's supposed to be peaceful. It's like if a bunch of, you know, Tibetan Buddhists just decided to have a mass brawl in the pub. You're like, what's going on?
But Islam, in some ways, Islam, I'm not really knowledgeable about Islam, I've got to admit that, but Islam is a bit different from Christianity.
Definitely.
Well, in terms of forgiveness,
Jesus
it's not
died
as
for a start.
It will try to defend itself if it gets attacked. And Muhammad as a figure.
I think people do that generally. They defend themselves if they're attacked.
If you notice, Ireland spent a long time defending versions of Christianity and money and land problems. It's much more complicated than just religion. But Christianity, there's no, even though there's forgiveness, praying for your enemies, blessing those who curse you, you know, all of those things, there's still nothing that says you must be bullied or intimidated. That what is important within Christianity is the truth, and we are told that the truth is Jesus Christ. So insulting Christ in that way, which I've had Muslims tell me that Jesus effed his own mum because if Jesus is God and Mary was pregnant, even though the Qur'an says basically that God made Mary pregnant, like via this spirit or angel. So I've had, I've had hugely offensive things said to me, but because I'm what we call a grown-up, I chose to take that offence and just go, oh, what an idiot.
Yeah, that's
like,
good.
Literally.
That's the look. I agree. I completely agree with you. That's the right way of interpreting things. But we need to think realistically on what are the consequences of our actions. On this specific regard, on what happened with between Jedi and Mohammed Hijab. Look, I don't really agree with the things Jedi does. I don't think he should have went to Ahmed Ali and started virtue signaling to him. But I definitely can't see it in any other way but to see that Mohammed Hijab was wrong in going to Jedi and trying to defend his Muslim brother who was in the wrong, who started it in the first place, who threw the first punch. It's absolutely impossible for me, to see it, to try to, sorry brother, seriously.
No, it's okay, no.
To see it in any way that I can defend Mohammed Hijab in this, because you need to regulate your guys.
When you say he was successful in that, it turned into a big viral video.
Yeah.
And it had lots of views.
He sent a message to Muslims, not just in the UK, all around the world.
They're a bunch of thugs, or that this guy is a thug.
You can see it as
yeah, man, I mean, the guy threw the first punch.
What's your personal opinion? I think a lot of Muslims,
obviously, they wanted an excuse to get something going. None of them wanted to fight on camera, none of them. Jedi wanted to virtue signal son of Ahmed Ali, and Mohammed Hijab wanted to come here and be the champion of Islam, and you know, look, I'm inviting this evil man to a fight. He who punched our brother Ahmed Ali. Did he?
He seems to be refuting
who? Mohammed Hijab called Jedi boy, or the other way around?
Well, yeah, I know. Whatever you think, it appeared that way to a lot of people.
What an insult!
I'm not supporting Mohammed Hijab.
10 out of 10 would punch.
I'm just saying what the opinion may be, because I've got a point of view, being that I'm Muslim myself. I know how Muslims may think and how it And so a lot of
but look, I'm kind of, I'm coming more. Let's go back to James and you know the ripping of the Quran. Go ahead, bro.
He's got hundreds.
He said he was gonna rip up the Quran,
and he has got a big audience. And a lot of those
James.
people would be
To send a message, basically.
Like what he did.
Look,
appreciate what he did because they see
I don't know about that. I don't think he specified it that much. He just said something about ripping up the Quran.
So if you do something in the defense of that tribe, it's going to get applause. It's going to get applauded. I know you, as an outsider.
Yeah, look, James has been a thorn in the side of the Dawas for a very, very long time now. They don't want to speak to him because they know that they can't debate him. Because he knows things that they can't simply, you know, fallacy their way out. They can't just, you know, deviate from him because he actually knows the stuff he's talking about. That's why, you know, Adnan won't talk to him. That's why other Dawas don't want to talk to him. They call him a hate preacher. They call him Islamophobe. They call him anything they want. Yeah, he's an extremist. He hates Islam. And but you see, if he ripped the Quran, he would be seen by many Muslims out there, and we need and we need to a certain extent consider their opinion. We don't need to care, not at all. I don't care about their opinion. But realistically thinking, I don't want to be caught in some dark corner by a random zealot and be stabbed to death. That's why I will never do that stuff.
Let me put it to you like this.
How he
My
orchestrates
grandparents'
conversations
generation within this
and
country
how
had
he, when he has
huge
conversations
amount
with
of
atheists,
animosity and
he's
typically
very
dislike
clever at
for
debating them and
Japanese
framing the
people and
conversation.
German.
I'm reminded about
Those germs.
Some of it was state-funded, like propaganda against them. Others were personal experiences.
Because of World War II.
Yeah. So because of their
You need to hate your enemy or else you can't kill your enemy.
not in Christianity, but because of their potential feelings, still we cannot advocate the discrimination of Germans or Japanese people. We can't say we take all those hundreds of thousands of people's opinion because they may be hurt if we have a Japanese
it was mainly the
health service in Britain. We can't say, we can't go along with anti-Japanese sentiment because of their well-founded potentially feelings.
I saw one video
take into account the feelings of the majority of people because democratically we already have taken into account the majority of the people's feelings by voting for our governed, our elected officials. And if they stick to their manifestos in protecting freedom of speech, freedom of expression, putting money into health, etc., racism,
he's kind of he's been playing that
what's the word? Excessive love.
That's a new one.
Well, it's like Anglophilia. Excessive love for a race or excessive dislike can't be taken into consideration because we live in a society that extols the virtue of not diversity, equality. So, and even though they want equality of outcome, which is silly, equality of opportunity is fair and a rational position. So, if you have the opportunity to burn a book, if you have the opportunity to jump off a cliff, if you have the opportunity, you're a grown adult, and unless the state says you're incapable of making decisions, the actions or potential hurt feelings of other people.
Oh no, it's okay, it's okay.
The potential hurt feelings, unfortunately, even though we'd all love to go around with kid gloves on and make sure all the elderly people don't see a Japanese person, like basically we can't mollycoddle human adults. Like,
look, I
agree.
Look, I can't disagree with that. As I myself, I follow the ideology that if you look,
I'm joking.
This is not about victory between me and you. This is victory between James and what he speaks about.
He didn't carry out those words.
Yes, because it doesn't contribute for the victory of his argument.
Yes, but I don't think the words in and of themselves deserve any physical repercussions.
Oh no, of course not.
So that's it.
Of course not.
I don't think anybody does.
But look, I said it and I say it again. I'm coming from the supposition that James actually went all the way and burned the Quran or ripped the Quran.
What's the point otherwise? He said he would come here and do it. I didn't hear him say it, but I imagined, or just supposed, that he meant within Speaker's Corner. I don't suppose he meant I'm going to go home and do it and no one will know anyway. Like, what's the point in that? Because it doesn't get any... I don't say he's seeking publicity, but I'm saying that he publicly said it.
Another problem with this is siege mentality. When people will see their ideology getting attacked... what?
No, get shopping. Like with the siege, you need to get the supplies in and make sure you're...
Oh, okay.
Plus the EU and all that.
Good one. But yeah, siege mentality is basically when people need an outside threat in order to unite about something. You know, I actually was around with when hijab had a conversation. We need an enemy to fight. We need somebody to unite against. Yeah, I was there on that video. It's on camera. It was pretty funny. Yeah. Then he pointed at me and said something like the kuffar, and I just laughed at him.
Oh, how charming! Though.
I know, right?
I love you.
No, you know, he's
a big softy underneath.
He has some good arguments. He has sometimes some good arguments.
In some ways, after what I said about him, he's also harmed himself because now people that video will stay.
Took him seriously at one point.
But that video will stay there forever.
Definitely.
You know, and people can use it if he ever wants to be in politics or anything like that. They'll reference that video and they will say, oh, "This guy's a thug."
Yeah, that's it, man. The same thing that hijab did on camera. I mean, James would do much with a much bigger magnitude if he actually ripped the Quran. He wouldn't bring up
James Goddard, is this or is it
James the tall guy.
Cowboy hat.
He speaks about Islam very often. I don't know if he's American. I don't think he's American. He doesn't sound American to me.
Okay, but he's the one with the whistle and the.
No,
James, the tall guy, skinny guy who speaks about Islam.
10 bad things in the Quran type thing. No, definitely not him.
Yeah, but look, again, we need to think realistically about what will actually happen and about how we will actually organize people.
Some sort of Soviet-style committee, hunt him down, pat him down for Qurans and matches. Let's not forget the inflammatory. Even though he said rip, we've all decided he was going to burn it anyway. And like, what are we going to do? Like, so yeah, I think we're exhausted.
Not about the words. Not about the words.
Great, because freedom of expression is like protected, especially in Speaker's Corner.
Not about the words. I said it many times. I keep saying this. It's about if he actually went all the way and burned the Quran. I don't think he would gain a lot with it. I think his argument would become weaker, first of all. So it's the same as when hijab is having a discussion with a person. Again, let's do another, and he invites that person for an MMA fight. He's admitting defeat. He's admitting defeat in the argument. He's saying, I can't win against you intellectually, so I'm going to invite you to an MMA fight so I can beat you physically.
The fact is that his words.
If James went the physical way, it means that his words don't have enough punch to debunk the Quran.
I understand your point, but what I'm saying is that until that happens, if it happens, we could also argue, what if a meteor hits West Ham Stadium this afternoon?
Okay, look,
do you see what I'm saying? He hasn't done it.
Yes.
Do you believe that he intends to do it? From your knowledge,
I don't think so. I spoke to him. I don't think he intends to do it anymore.
It's a much shorter video.
No, look, it's because we're talking. What you got like something?
You can leave him. That's fine.
Like some kind of a muffler or whatever. We're talking about, I mean, at least I'm trying to talk about what if somebody, doesn't even have to be James, actually went all the way and burned the Quran. No, look, I would disagree with that person burning the Quran, but I would disagree with the people trying to physically attack that person because of the burning of the Quran.
It in their own house and nobody knows.
Nobody knew about it. Then it didn't happen. Then it didn't happen. Nobody knows about it. Nobody finds out.
It's like if you do drugs and no one finds out.
No, look. If you're shoplifting, you don't get caught. It's not really.
No, look. It's not the same thing. If you kill a person and nobody finds out,
it's still wrong.
Yeah, you don't just buy a person. I mean, you can buy a person, kind of.
Exactly.
It depends on the country where you live.
You just buy a new one.
The actual crux of it is objects versus people. And the violence against people will always be wrong unless it's sanctioned by blah, 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 blah. And destruction of one's own property, I don't mean, that's why I brought up the distinction initially as to whether or not the Quran belongs to all Muslims, or whether once you purchase a copy, it's your property to do with what you want.
Of course it is.
Can you highlight a Quran? Can you put pencil annotations in? Can you?
I put pencil annotations on mine.
I'm just saying.
Whoops.
I'm not asking.
Whoops. I guess I should go into hiding now.
I'm gonna say one thing. As a child, when I was growing up as a Muslim, we were taught to respect the Quran. You're not allowed to touch it. You're supposed to clean yourself, wash yourself.
Yeah, before grabbing the Quran.
Yeah, so we were raised to respect the Quran.
No highlighting.
And I think the thing is, the way you think, and it's really quite an evolved way of thinking. There's a lot of people who may not be at your level. I'm not saying Muslims can't think in a respectful way, but there's a lot of emotional people out there, and some of them are crazy. They have mental health problems.
Yeah, so then they deserve
and
to
some
be
of them
assisted by the state.
Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't always work like that.
But they deserve it. They deserve to be. No, but they deserve to be mentally balanced and happy, healthy, productive members of society. Nobody deserves to be depressed or schizophrenic, alone and afraid.
Yeah, and I mean, so, and if James did those sort of like what would some people would say as quite an extreme action, he could. I worry that he's going to get harm. I don't know, whether it's right or wrong or whatever. I kind of like James a lot.
I would hope that those who may wish to do him harm or actually do him harm would be prosecuted.
Yeah,
I mean, most people know me.
Like, so basically, I'm not advocating. I think that people, if they've got a crime, look after it. I don't believe in the burning or destruction of any books. To be fair, old library books, I save them when they I don't want them to be thrown in the bin. I don't like the thought of burning books because it reminds me of the Nazis. Like it reminds me of times.
I get out of the conversation and suddenly we're talking about the Nazis.
Book burning in general. Like
the Nazis burned made book burnings. That's why I don't think that book burnings are really an achievement of anything.
Don't some books deserve to be burned, such as Mein Kampf? Would you burn Mein Kampf?
I don't think any book deserves to be burned. Not even satanic books or whatever.
I'll tell you why. Whilst there are people out there who deny the Holocaust, and they exist, those people exist.
That's it. You burn the Mein Kampf, you don't know what happened. You erase history.
And then have a new generation of people who go, oh, but it didn't even happen. What, Hitler?
Yeah.
He's just a made-up guy. He didn't write. Like, why would you erase people's words, however detestable? Why would you? Let me finish. Erase people's words, however detestable, if they can serve as admonition, as ammunition, as prohibition to certain belief systems, and that's why the right to ridicule and insult belief systems needs to be enshrined and protected, because I can ridicule him, he can ridicule me back, then we can both get a coffee and it's all over. Like, ridicule is not a call to violence, and let's farm your animals.
And the Nazis are really useful as an education.